Hello, beautiful women. Welcome to the space. Today we are gonna talk about boundaries, one of my favorite topics, and what happens when your boundaries are tested. Okay, what do you do when your boundaries are tested? When someone tries to push past your boundaries to negotiate around your no or your non-negotiables, the things that are important for you. How do you feel when life presents you with something that is tempting but you know is not right for you? How do you deal with needing to express certain feelings, certain needs, but there's fear or there's shame, or it's just simply inconvenient? Because the truth is that sometimes expressing our boundaries is highly inconvenient, okay? And it's really funny because it seems as if when we decide that we want a certain thing, or when we want to work on our boundaries get tested. And not tested in the sense of like, oh, life is testing you and trying to trick you and trying to, get you to fail or whatever. No, I don't believe in that, actually. I don't even believe that life is asking us to prove how committed we are with our boundaries. But I think that life presents us with opportunities for us to decide how committed we are to the things that we've decided that we want, the things that we've decided that we definitely don't want, right? And sometimes we have to choose between two things that we want and then discover what's more important for us, right? So boundaries are such a topic when it comes to relationships, womb health and menstrual health, and our emotional well-being. I mean, it's so important. And I want to talk to you about boundaries from a perspective that for me is very liberating, because I think oftentimes we think about boundaries as something that separates us from other people, or that is used to shut people out or push people away, or say no. And actually boundaries are much more about having a clear sense of self, knowing what you want and don't want. And it's simple as that. It doesn't have to carry such a heavy emotional load. It doesn't mean that something about you or other people is wrong. It's just defining your personal preferences and your sense of self, essentially. So when we're not true to ourselves, when we're not true to our boundaries, our needs, our feelings, that builds up as resentment in the body. It builds up as anger. It builds up as grief. It builds up as menstrual issues and womb issues. And actually, the reason why I also talk about boundaries so much is because it's a big problem for a lot of women, but also there's not been a single time that I've worked with a woman who wanted to heal from menstrual issues or womb issues like endometriosis, fibroids, cysts, you name it, period pain, and it wasn't connected to boundaries. It has been connected to boundaries 100% of the time. So this is a topic that we need to explore together and be brave enough to be honest with ourselves and each other about what we really want and don't want, even if it's inconvenient. Because as I said, a lot of times it is, right? And what happens also to a lot of women is that they say yes to a lot of things they don't really want to say yes to, right? They accept requests. They allow other people to put them in a certain position that they don't really want to be in, or they may even offer it themselves. A lot of times we put way too much on our plate, or we don't know how to say no, right? Where sometimes we try to please other people, or we think we have certain responsibilities that actually could be delegated. And what tends to happen is that we reach the premenstrual phase and it all comes up, and we start to feel really irritable. We have more conflicts in our relationships. We have more internal conflicts, particularly, And there's this stereotypical idea that I'm totally against of the hysterical woman, and this question like, oh, are you on your period, or are you PMSing? Like, first of all, it's an insult to women. We have feelings, we have boundaries, okay, what the fuck? Second, it's actually a really good thing that these feelings are coming up. The problem is how we express them in unhealthy ways, because we've bottled them up for so long. So it's pretty charged by the time it comes out. And a lot of times we don't express that in a healthy way. We can be passive aggressive. We can blow up, lash out at people instead of communicating from the beginning. So it's a practice, actually, to be really aware of what we're feeling through our cycle, through different seasons of our lives, to be honest with ourselves, to be true with ourselves, and to be honest with other people about that. Because then, when you arrive to your premenstrual phase, when you arrive to your days of bleed, you don't arrive with all this baggage. You don't arrive with all these things that deep down you want to say no to. You arrive with this sense of clarity and stability within yourself. And sure, it's natural for our energy levels to go down, but it's not natural to have pain in your body when you're premenstrual, or to have intense emotional crisis, or to have conflicts with everyone around you, to like be raging and just grieving in such a deep way. That is the result of something deeper, something accumulated, which we don't need to do anymore. We don't need to do that, right? And even if you don't experience that in your menstrual cycle, if it doesn't manifest in that way, it's gonna manifest in other ways. It's gonna show up in tension in your body. It's gonna show up in this tension in your relationships with other people, or this feeling inside of yourself that something's off, right? So what do you do when your boundaries are tested? Are you still saying yes to things you want to say no to? And what happens in your body? Because, by the way, this is a shame-free zone. Like, there's a lot of reasons why we as women don't speak up enough, right? Even survival needs. We've learned that it's not safe to say no. We've learned that we will be hurt, that we will be abandoned, and connection is a very essential human need. So this is all happening unconsciously. It doesn't mean it's true, but it's a very valid response to have. Okay? The thing is that we can take that and we can change that. And sometimes it helps to do certain things like embodiment, working with the body and not just the mind. Because in the body, you can integrate this feeling of clarity, of empowerment, of being deeply grounded, connected to your truth, to what you want and what you don't want. And then when you run into those situations where you have to speak up, say no, or ask for what you want, express your feelings, it's a lot easier, actually. And this is one of the things that I love the most about the womb, because she's so clear. Like, the womb is unwavering and sharp, and she will tell it like it is. And when you connect with a woman, you ask for guidance. There's no vague answer. It's very sharp, and it's always going to guide you towards what's self-loving and what's practical and real about your real needs in this moment. And I've worked with angels and connecting with my intuition, with my heart and everything for many years, and I've asked for guidance and support from many different places, many different parts of myself as well. But when I started to connect with the womb, that totally blew my mind, because it's just so clear and it's just so grounded. The womb is this space of deep feminine power, and it's really important that we connect with her, regardless of whether we're still bleeding or not, if we have a menstrual cycle or not. It doesn't matter. Even if we've had a hysterectomy, we still have an energetic womb space. But now I'm going on a tangent, so let's come back to boundaries. We can only really know what our boundaries are if we're listening to what we feel, to what's happening in our body. So that's another reason to connect with the body, to connect with our emotions. Because a lot of times we are living on autopilot and we don't even realize what's happening and what's really important to us, or why is it that we even feel upset or irritated, right? So it's a practice. It's okay to not get it right in the moment. It's okay to come out of an experience and think, I should have done that differently. It's okay. It's a practice. For me, it's still a practice. I'm pretty good with my boundaries nowadays after a lot of work, but I'm still practicing, and I still run into experiences where I have to get uncomfortable. But I have that commitment, so I do it. And now when I arrive to my premenstrual phase, I don't struggle with huge emotional and mental breakdowns like I used to. I don't have conflicts with other people. I'm not irritable. I feel stable. I feel empowered. I feel sensual. I feel connected to my truth. And honestly, I just feel more unapologetic than ever. And boundaries are connected to the archetype of the enchantress, which, if you've been in my world for a while, you know that I'm all about the enchantress. She's the forgotten feminine archetype, the one that's associated with all things taboo. She's the one that will burn things down to the ground if they are not working, right? That's why we become so chaotic and destructive sometimes when we're premenstrual, because the enchantress is not being taken care of. She's not in the seat of her power, really. She's the one that's holding space for transformation and for change in the seasons of our lives. And she's really important, actually. But her deep power has been rejected in our society, and so has our right to say no and to take up space and to make other people uncomfortable, which is okay. So my invitation for you today is to tune in and listen. Just make it a practice, just out of curiosity. It doesn't have to be this heavy thing. It's okay to not get it perfect, but just to listen to how you feel, especially before you say yes, before you accept something, or before you commit to something, or before you offer something. To notice how you feel in your body. Does it feel expansive? Does it feel exciting and safe and nourishing? Or do you notice yourself contracting and feeling tense and unsure? That will give you information about your true boundaries. And then it's much easier to stay true to it. It's much easier to communicate it in a healthy way. I would love to hear what you feel from this conversation in the comments, and if this is something that resonates with you, if you're working on your boundaries, on your feminine empowerment, I invite you to join me in May for Reclaim Your Feminine Body, a 5-day Telegram portal that I am just dating, and I'm so excited because we're going to be working on this a lot, and we're going to be connecting directly with the power of the Enchantress archetype. So if this is something you want to do, send me a DM or a comment, and I will send you the sign-up link. Thank you so much for being here, and I will talk to you soon.